Tonight, you won't need to go anywhere. You'll simply close your eyes, and your mind will take you through quiet rivers of memory, into the foggy edge of tomorrow, across the silent rhythm of your cells, and among dreams where time forgets itself. This isn't a story with heroes or villains. It's a journey through the inner universe, a slow walk across the landscapes of your mind. You'll drift through moments, feelings, illusions, and the strange science of being alive in time. So rest your head, let your breath settle, and let the chapters carry you, like waves beneath the stars. You float, not in water, but in something less visible, a current as old as the cosmos. Time does not ripple or crash like waves. It glides, smooth and constant, like a hidden river beneath your life. You do not see it, but you feel it, in the rising of the sun, in the fall of shadows, and the way your breath arrives and departs again. You are carried without paddling, your body drifting forward through something you can never touch. Time holds you, always. You open your eyes each day in the middle of its flow. Behind you, memories, already washed downstream. Before you, possibilities, still far ahead, swirling in mist. And here, right here, is the moment you call now, a small boat of awareness floating on an endless stream. But even as you try to anchor yourself to this moment, it slips. The present is fleeting, gone the moment it is noticed. Still, it is all you ever truly feel. Have you ever watched a river from above? From a bridge, perhaps, or a hillside path? The water seems to move fast at first, urgent and silver bright. But stare longer, and your eyes adjust. The motion becomes slow, rhythmic, hypnotic. So too with time. When you're busy, it rushes past. But in stillness, like now, it softens. It stretches and smooths, and you begin to feel it's deeper. Shape. Children feel time differently. For them, a summer can last a lifetime. A single afternoon can be a world. To a child, the future is vast and far, a place too big to picture clearly. You once knew this feeling too. Somewhere inside, you still carry that wide horizon. But as you grow older, time seems to tighten, to compress. Years pass with startling ease. Days fold into weeks like pages in a book you forgot you were reading. Why? Does this happen? Scientists suggest that your brain does not sense time directly. You don't have time sensors like you do for light or sound. Instead, you feel time through change. The more change you notice, the more time you believe has passed. This is why childhood, with its endless discoveries, feels slow and expansive. And why adult life, with its repeating rhythms, can blur and vanish. You mark time by experience, by difference. A week full of new places, new conversations, and unexpected joy feels longer than a month of repetition. Time, then, is not a straight line in your mind. It is a collage of moments stitched together by meaning. Some years take up more space in your memory than others. Some moments, even just minutes long, glow brighter than weeks that followed. So perhaps time is not only something that moves around you. It is something your mind builds within you. Like a painter laying color onto canvas, you add layers of memory, attention, emotion. The result is your personal river, shaped by how you look at it, and how often imagine again the river. The banks stretch on both sides, but you can't turn back. You cannot climb out. You can only move with it, observe it, feel it carrying you. And so you learn to surrender, not in defeat, but in peace. There is a comfort in knowing that time moves forward, but you do not need to push it. You are already in motion. The current is strong enough. You do not drift alone. The entire universe floats beside you. From galaxies spinning silently through deep space to the slow decay of mountain stone, everything moves forward in time. Even the atoms in your bones follow this rule. All things change. All things flow. You are part of that grand rhythm, not separate, not delayed. Just one traveler in a sea of travelers. Still, you may ask, if everything moves through time, why does only the present feel real? Why can you remember the past, imagine the future, but only truly live in the now? This question has no simple answer. But one idea is this: your consciousness, your awareness, is a spotlight. It shines only on a narrow space in time. It cannot reach backward or forward, not really. So the present glows while the rest fades softly into shadow, and perhaps that is a kindness. The present moment, fleeting as it is, gives you the chance to feel, to breathe, to be still. It is the only place where you can truly rest or act or love. The past is memory. The future is story. But now is your touch point with the world. Let's take a breath together here. In this moment. No rush. No need to move ahead too quickly. The river will carry you. It always does. Look up at the stars, if you can. Their light began its journey long before this moment. Years, decades, even centuries ago. What you see tonight is the past, arriving now. And what you do now will ripple forward into a future you cannot yet see. You are in the middle of something vast and beautiful. You are always in the middle. So float gently. Let the water guide you. Let time unfold like a slow, soft current through your thoughts. There is something comforting about the idea of now. A solid, singular moment, one you can hold, name, live inside. You wake up and say, "This is the present." You listen to a bird's song. You feel your breath, and you believe with all your being that it is happening in real time. But gently, let us peel back the surface. Now is not what it seems. Inside you, billions of signals travel at different speeds. Light enters your eyes almost instantly, while sounds take longer to reach your ears. A touch on your hand sends signals up your nerves, but not all at once, and never at the same rate as sight or sound. The brain, flooded with mismatched data, doesn't panic. It waits. It pauses for a brief, imperceptible moment, and then stitches all those signals together. What you experience as now is a carefully arranged illusion, a soft delay made to feel immediate. Scientists call this the specious present. A small window of time, perhaps a few tenths of a second, that your brain smooths into a single experience. Like a film made of still frames, your consciousness plays back moments as if they are flowing. But the truth is, you are always living. Slightly behind the world, the mind is like a conductor, guiding instruments that never quite play in unison. Visuals arrive first, sounds lag behind. Touch and motion trail even further. If the brain processed each signal separately, your world would feel fractured, out of sync. So instead, it delays its judgment. It gathers, blends, and edits before, presenting you with the illusion of unity. And so, now is not a point. It is a blend, a softened edge, a moment made whole by waiting just long enough. This delay is tiny, perhaps 80 milliseconds, but it defines how you perceive reality. If someone claps their hands in front of you, you see it and hear it as one event. But the light reached you faster. The sound took longer. Your brain, kind and clever, bridged the gap. You didn't notice the illusion. You believed in the moment. Even movement relies on this fiction. If you catch a ball, your brain must predict where it will be before your body moves. It guesses the future just slightly, and this guess becomes part of your present. What feels like now is a mix of memory, prediction, and careful coordination. This is not a flaw. It is a miracle of perception. Your brain does not show you the world as it is. It shows you the world in a way you can live in, smoothly, safely, with meaning. Without this constructed now, your experience would be jumbled chaos. Instead, you live in a movie made just for you, running a few frames behind reality. In this movie, continuity is key. Your brain prefers smooth transitions over jagged truth. This is why optical illusions work, why ventriloquists fool you, why a spinning fan becomes a blur instead of a flicker. The mind edits constantly, choosing what to highlight, what to blend, what to ignore. And this illusion is not just physical. Emotion plays a role too. Moments that are peaceful stretch out, feel fuller. Stress can narrow time, make the present feel thinner, more fragile. When you are afraid, your brain records more detail, slowing down your internal clock. When you are calm, it lets time pass like a breeze. The present, then, is not a fixed point, but a sensation shaped by biology, emotion, attention. You don't live in a single instant. You live in a soft window of time, wide enough to make sense of what's happening, narrow enough to feel present. Even memory participates in the illusion. Your brain rewrites moments after they occur, smoothing gaps, filling blanks. You may believe you remember a moment exactly as it was, but that memory has already been filtered through layers of perception. What you think of as that moment is a story retold. And yet, this doesn't make your experience less real. It makes it more human. You are not a camera. You are not a clock. You are a living being, tuned to find meaning in the blur of passing time. You were never meant to know the world in raw data. You were meant to feel it, connect to it, rest in it. So when you close your eyes and say, "This is now," you are speaking from within a beautifully crafted illusion, one that has protected you, guided you, grounded you, one that turns scattered input into a calm, unified flow. And perhaps that is what matters most. Not the precision of time, but the softness of presence. Not the strict reality of now, but the comfort it brings you. Think of a firefly in the dark, blinking once, then again and again. Your mind does. Not count milliseconds. It follows the rhythm, the glow. It creates a feeling of pattern, of time, of being. In the same way, your brain's quiet delay becomes part of your peace. So tonight, rest in that illusion. Trust it. Let the scattered moments of the day soften into something whole. The present is not perfect. It is enough. You are not late. You are not early. You are here, floating gently in a now your brain has made for you, rich with sound, color, warmth. And as you rest in the soft window of presence, a quiet question stirs at the edge of your awareness. What creates this sense of rhythm inside you? What part of you keeps time, even when the world around you stands still? Inside you, hidden deep beneath thought and language, a clock is ticking. It doesn't tick like a watch or a wall clock. It pulses in cycles, soft, steady, ancient. This is your circadian rhythm, your body's way of knowing what time it is, even when the world offers no clues. And you follow it, without trying, every moment of your life. This rhythm is not just a habit. It is a biological dance choreographed by light and chemistry. It tells your body when to sleep, when to wake, when to feel hunger or alertness or calm. Even if you lived in a cave with no daylight, no clocks, no phones, this internal rhythm would still hum along, close to 24 hours. Your body remembers the sun, even in its absence. The conductor of this silent orchestra sits in the center of your brain, a cluster of neurons called the suprachiasmatic nucleus, or SCN. It's a small structure, no bigger than a grain of rice, tucked just above where your optic nerves cross. From this place, it reads the light that enters your eyes and adjusts your whole system accordingly. Like a lighthouse keeper tuning the beam, it resets you each day. Morning light, especially blue light, is the signal your SCN waits for. As it touches your retina, messages travel inward, telling your body that it's time to wake. In response, Your brain quiets melatonin, the hormone that invites sleep. Your heart rate rises slightly. Your temperature begins to climb. You are preparing to meet the day dot, and when the light fades again, slowly, softly, like a curtain drawing across the sky, melatonin returns. Your body temperature drops, thoughts slow, muscles relax. You may not notice it happening, but it is already steering you gently towards sleep. This is why you sometimes yawn just after sunset or feel a sudden peace under evening skies. Your clock is guiding you home, but it isn't just light that shapes this rhythm. Food, movement, social connection, all of these things feed into your internal timekeeping. When you eat at the same time each day, your body prepares for digestion. Before the first bite, when you move in the morning light, you send a signal of wakefulness to your brain. And when you laugh with others, speak, share, your rhythm aligns with theirs in small, beautiful ways. Even your organs keep time. Liver cells, heart cells, even the cells in your skin. They each have their own clocks, ticking in harmony with the master rhythm. These are called peripheral clocks. Together, they help regulate everything from hormone release to metabolism to immune strength. You are not just one clock. You are a whole constellation of them, moving in synchrony. Like stars turning in the sky, disruption to this rhythm, even slight, can ripple through your whole system. This is why jet lag feels heavy, or why shift work can make sleep elusive. Your inner clocks fall out of sync, like instruments playing in different keys. Your body tries to adapt, but it prefers the rhythm it evolved to follow. Wake with divine sun, rest with the stars. And yet, the body is flexible. It adapts slowly, gently. Given time and consistency, it finds balance again. A walk in morning light, a warm meal at the same hour, a few quiet nights of deep sleep, and the rhythm returns. Not forced, not rushed, just remembered. You may feel at times that your days blur together. Work, rest, repeat. But beneath the surface, your inner clock keeps count. It marks the changing light. It keeps pace with the turning earth. Even when you forget time, it does not forget you. There is a certain comfort in knowing this. In a world of shifting schedules and glowing screens, you carry within you an ancient pulse that aligns with the rising and setting sun. It is not something you must control. It is something you can trust. This rhythm shapes how you think and feel. It influences your mood, your focus, your energy. Morning minds think differently from evening minds. You may notice ideas come easier in certain hours, or that your body feels strongest at specific times. This is not random. It is your rhythm, whispering its preferences. Some people are morning birds, waking with ease and shining early. Others are night owls, blooming under stars. Both patterns are natural. Both are valid expressions of the circadian clock, shaped by genes and environment. The important thing is not to force yourself into someone else's rhythm, but to listen closely for your own dot. So tonight, as you prepare for sleep, know that your body is already moving with intention. Melatonin rises like a tide. Muscles soften. Your heart slows, preparing for stillness. Your brain is entering a new phase, one of rest, repair, renewal. You don't have to make it happen. You only have to allow it. Close your eyes, if they are not already closed. Feel the slow descent into night. Trust in the rhythm that has carried you since birth. It is steady. It is wise. It is yours, and as you sink into the quiet hum of your inner clock, you might begin to wonder, what then makes the present feel so alive, so bright and close, while the future always feels like a distant shore? Time travels in one direction. Forward, this you know. You cannot undo a moment, cannot return to a place exactly as it was. And yet your mind can, quietly, suddenly, a a song, a forgotten phrase, and you are pulled backward into a room that no longer exists, standing beside people you no longer see, hearing laughter you thought was lost. Memory is time's soft rebellion, but memory is not a recording. It is not a file you open and play. It is something more fluid, more alive. Each time you remember, you are not watching the past. You are rebuilding it. Like a painter recalling a scene, you fill in the gaps with feeling, with guesswork, with belief. The brushstrokes are emotional, not mechanical. Some memories return often, as if drawn by gravity. They shine brighter, not because they were more real, but because they were more felt. Moments of awe, of fear, of love, they stand tall. In the forest of time, towering trees among undergrowth. They are loud echoes in a quiet canyon. And because they echo, they grow stronger each time you hear them again. Other memories slip away, unnoticed. The days that passed without tension or celebration, soft, repeating, uneventful. You forget the 10th time you took the same walk. You forget what you had for dinner 3 weeks ago. Not because those things were unimportant, but because your mind needed space for meaning. This is how memory grips time, not with accuracy, but with emotion. It expands the moments that shaped you, compresses the ones that didn't. A single childhood afternoon may feel longer in memory than your entire last month. A conversation from years ago might still feel fresh, while yesterday's tasks are already gone. Memory is not fair, but it is deeply human. Inside your brain, the hippocampus, shaped like a curled seahorse, holds the keys to memory. It decides what is stored and how. It works closely with the amygdala, the center of emotional weight. When something moves you, scares you, delights you, your amygdala takes note. It tells the hippocampus, this matters. And so it stays. This is why you remember where you were during moments of shock, a sudden loss, a sudden joy, and why the small details of those moments cling to your mind. The sound of birds outside a hospital room, the color of the sky before the news arrived. These are fragments your brain holds like a necklace, strung together by feeling. But even these vivid memories shift over time. They are not stored away untouched. Each time you recall them, they change a little. A word you forgot gets imagined. A gesture becomes softer. The lighting in your mind's version turns golden. And so the memory you carry is not the past itself. It is your story of the past. You might think of it like a river reflecting the sky. The river does not hold the clouds. It mirrors them, moment by moment. So, too, your memory reflects your understanding, your mood, your longing. As you change, so does what you remember. There is beauty in this. Memory is not just a record. It is a companion. It stays close to your identity, adjusts to your path, reminds you who you were or who you wanted to be. It helps you shape meaning, not just recall events. It makes time yours. And sometimes, memory defies logic entirely. A dream may feel like a memory. A photograph may trigger something that never happened but feels true. You might remember being held as a baby, but that memory is built from stories and photos, not lived recall. Still, it feels real. And in some way, it is. Your memories do not have to be accurate to be honest. They carry your truth, not perfect timelines. They remind you how time felt, not just what it contained. This is why nostalgia can be so powerful. You look back not just to remember, but to feel again. A familiar song plays, and your chest stirs. A childhood scent returns, and the world softens. It is not the moment you long for. It is the way that moment made you feel. But memory can also trick you. It can whisper regrets louder than joys. It can paint past selves in shadows. It can convince you that what you remember is what truly was. This is where gentleness matters. Your memories are not meant to judge you. They are meant to show you your journey, how far you've come, how deeply you've lived out. So as you lie here now, with your body in stillness and your mind adrift, know this: your memories are not just fragments of the past. They are a mirror of the meaning you've given your life. Let them come and go like clouds. Watch them without clinging. Thank them for what they brought, even the hard ones. They help shape the river of your becoming. And if you find yourself longing for a time that felt fuller, slower, more vivid, know that this is the gift of memory. It reminds you not only of what has passed, but of how to cherish what's here. For in remembering, you notice just how deeply you felt. And in noticing, you return gently to presence. But now you may begin to wonder if memory stretches the past and the present feels so rich. Why does the future remain so hazy, so far away? You sit quietly, and your thoughts drift backward. Moments rise from memory like gentle waves: a childhood room, a friend's laughter, a long-ago evening filled with nothing but the hum of life. Your past stretches wide behind you, a soft meadow of remembered hours. And when you look forward, the road seems shorter, quieter, blurred at the edges. Time hasn't changed its pace, but something inside you has. This is one of time's softer illusions. As you age, your past feels larger and the future feels smaller. But time itself does not bend in either direction. It is your experience, your attention, your emotion, your story that makes the past swell and the future shrink. When you were young, the future felt endless. It was an ocean without a far shore, open and full of possibility. The days ahead seemed infinite because the days behind were few. You imagined more than you remembered. Each new year added layers to the present, like rings in a tree, slow, visible growth. But now, you hold more past than future. You carry stories, memories, lessons. You hold the weight of things that mattered and the quiet absence of things that didn't. The past begins to feel full, vast, detailed. The future, by contrast, becomes quieter. Not because it is smaller, but because your mind gives more space to what has already been. This shift is not sadness. It is rhythm. It is the mind adjusting its lens. You are not running out of time. You are growing into it. You are turning your gaze inward, where so much already lives. Why does the past expand? Because each memory is more than a moment. It is a feeling, a meaning, a change. Even short events can echo across years. You remember not just what happened, but how it shaped you. And those remembered moments take up more room in your mental landscape. You return to them again and again, and each time they widen. Meanwhile, the future is not yet alive in your body. It has no scent, no sound, no emotional weight. It is imagined, not felt. And the further forward you look, the harder it becomes to hold that image. The brain, so skilled at recalling the past, struggles to picture what has not yet come to life. And so the future fades, not because it is unimportant, but because it is quiet. This is why, as you age, a year may feel shorter. Not because it is shorter, but because you have so many years to compare it to. When you're 5, a single year is 20% of your entire life. At 50, it is just 2%. Your mind weighs it differently, and the weight of time shifts. But this shrinking is only a trick of attention. If you slow down, if you notice more, the present begins to expand again. Moments stretch. Time softens. This is why mindfulness, the act of fully being in a moment, can make a single hour feel rich and full. You can't make time move differently, but you can change how it feels. Think of time as a field. You walk across it every day. Some days, you rush, and the field blurs. Other days, you stroll, And the flowers, the breeze, the bird songs stay with you. It is the same field. But your way of walking makes all the difference. So as your past grows longer, let it bring comfort, not weight. It is not behind you like a shadow. It surrounds you like a soft wind. It reminds you of your becoming. And as for the future, do not fear its quietness. It is not empty. It is simply not here yet. The future is not a blank page. It is a seed in the dark. You may not see its shape, but it is growing. And sometimes, the most important things come quietly, without fanfare. Notice, too, how your sense of time shifts during certain experiences. A joyful vacation may feel short in the moment, but long in memory. A long, uneventful month may pass unnoticed, its days already blurred. This tells you something powerful. Time is not just length, it is depth. You live more fully in moments that move you. So perhaps, instead of measuring life by days or years, you could measure it by aliveness, by how deeply you felt, by how often you noticed, by how gently you allowed the world to imprint itself on your inner sky. The past expands because it holds so much meaning. The future shrinks because it waits silently for your attention, but both are still part of you. You stand between them, the bridge, the living moment where meaning is made. Take this with you. You are not running out of time. You are filling it. Even now, even here, the future unfolds, not in large sweeping gestures, but in quiet seconds, one after another. You step into it without effort. You are already moving forward. And as you walk through this gentle stretch of time, you may begin to feel a subtle truth blooming inside you. When you wait for something, when you long for what hasn't come, time begins to slow. But why does waiting feel so heavy, so long, so strangely dense? You've felt it before. The weight of a slow second, a pause that stretches, wide and dense. You check the clock. Only 1 minute has passed. You check again, and somehow time has barely moved. In waiting, time expands, like breath held too long. Waiting is not simply being still. It is living between two places. You are here, but your mind is already there. You reach forward, emotionally, towards something that has not yet come. And in that reaching, time thickens. The now becomes heavy with the weight of not yet. Why does waiting feel so long? The answer lies inside your mind's sense of attention. When you are deeply engaged in a story, a task, a conversation, your awareness of time fades. You forget to notice the passing seconds. But in waiting, you notice everyone. Each tick becomes sharper, more distinct, more demanding of your attention. Imagine standing at a bus stop. The wind brushes your cheek. Your eyes scan the road again and again. With nothing to anchor your thoughts, time itself becomes the thing you watch. And time, when watched, resists. It slows, grows stubborn, stretches out like a path in the sun. The brain has no direct clock. It estimates time based on changes in thought, in perception, in sensation. When change is minimal, as in waiting, your mind assumes time is moving slowly. It's like a room with still air and no windows. The stillness makes you notice each second in a way you normally wouldn't. This is why waiting in silence feels longer than waiting with music. Why time crawls in boredom, but flies in play. Your internal timekeeper is deeply sensitive to stimulation. Waiting offers so little to measure, and so, time stretches. But there is another layer, too. Expectation. When you anticipate something, a call, a result, an arrival, your brain enters a state of heightened alert. Your mind constantly checks. Is it here yet? Now? Now? Each check resets your attention. And that constant loop creates the feeling that time is passing more slowly than it truly is. It's not unlike walking on a treadmill. You move, but stay in place. The motion is internal, your thoughts turning over, while the world remains still. Even your body responds to waiting. The anticipation of a reward releases small bursts of dopamine. This gives you the energy to stay alert, but it also increases your awareness of time's delay. You feel the space between desire and outcome more vividly. You ache for resolution. And that ache is part of why waiting feels so long. Waiting can be especially heavy when emotion is involved. If you are anxious, every second feels urgent. If you are excited, each moment is stretched thin with hope. Emotion adds mass to time. It weighs it down. It magnifies every delay. And yet, not all waiting is hard. There are kinds of waiting that feel light, even beautiful. The hush before dawn, the breath before music, the slow steeping of tea. These are moments of pause, not emptiness. Waiting, when chosen, becomes rest. The difference lies in presence. When you wait while resisting the moment, time feels thick and unkind. When you wait while accepting the moment, time becomes spacious. Still slow, but no longer heavy. Think of how trees wait. They do not rush the spring. They do not count the days. They simply hold their shape, their roots deep, their branches bare, until warmth arrives. They do not ask when. They just are. You, too, can wait like this. Sometimes, not always. Some waits are hard, but even in those, there is room to breathe. Try now, for just a moment. Notice your breath. Notice the space between your thoughts. Notice that nothing is happening, and that this, too, is life. Waiting is not absence. It is potential. It is a held note, a hush stage, a seed beneath the soil. It is a kind of quiet readiness, and while your mind may tug at the future, your body stays here, in this room, in this moment, in this breath. You are not only what you are waiting for. You are also the one who waits patiently, curiously, quietly alive. So the next time you find yourself longing for something just out of reach, remember, you are not stuck. You are preparing. Time is not frozen. It is simply asking you to feel it more deeply. Let yourself slow. Let the minutes soften. Let waiting be what it is, not a prison, but a passage. And as you sit in this space between moments, something else begins to stir in the background of your thoughts. A wondering. If time can slow without warning, what happens when it disappears altogether? What does time mean when you dream? Time is not fixed. Not in your mind, not in your body. It bends, stretches, contracts. Not in the world outside, but in the way you live it. A single hour can feel like a blink or like an eternity. And the difference is not in the clock. It is in the feeling. You already know this. You have lived it. 10 minutes of joy, of laughter with a friend, of dancing to your favorite song, of being utterly absorbed. They vanish. They slip through your fingers like sunlight. But 10 minutes of fear or discomfort or waiting in the unknown, they drag their feet. Each second loud, slow, heavy. Why does this happen? Your sense of time is deeply tied to emotion. Inside you, there is no mechanical ticking. Your brain measures time through change, in your body, in your thoughts, in your surroundings. And emotions create change. They speed things up, slow things down, make the world feel more vivid or more distant. Fear, for example, stretches time. Not because time itself moves differently, but because you do. In moments of danger or stress, your brain switches into high alert. Your senses sharpen. You take in more sights, more sounds, more possibilities. Your brain lays down dense, detailed memories. And later, when you look back, those rich memories make the moment feel longer. You remember more, so it feels like more time must have passed. This is why falling feels longer than it is. Why a near accident seems to unfold in slow motion. time hasn't slowed. Your mind has sped up. And in speeding up, it has stretched. The moment.joy, by contrast, compresses time. In joy, you do not watch the clock. You dissolve into the moment. You are not tracking change. You are the change. Your mind moves with the rhythm of the moment, not against it. And because you are not measuring time, it flows faster. This state is often called flow, a deep, immersive presence where time seems to vanish. Artists feel it, athletes feel it. You feel it in a conversation that runs past midnight, in a walk that turns into a journey. In flow, your brain quiets its inner narrator. You stop asking, how long has it been? You simply exist. And in that, the minutes collapse into a feeling. There are also times when time feels still, not stretched or compressed, just paused. These are moments of awe. The first glimpse of stars over a dark sea. The hush in a forest just after. Snowfall. The sudden silence when you see someone you love. In awe, your brain stops predicting. It stops rushing forward. And so time halts too, just for a breath. But the emotional shaping of time isn't only about joy or fear. It happens in grief, in longing, in confusion. A single hour can feel like a whole day when your heart is heavy. Because in those moments, every second must be carried. And the carrying makes time feel heavier, longer, harder to pass. Even boredom has its stretch. When your mind is understimulated, it begins to search for pattern, for purpose, for something to mark the minutes. But when it finds none, it lingers. And that lingering becomes the stretch. The room feels bigger. The clock feels slower. Time loses its edges. And yet, all of this is happening inside you. The clocks on the wall do not change their pace. The sun rises and falls with the same rhythm. But your experience, your felt time, follows your heart, not your calendar dot. This is part of what makes you human. Not just that you live in time, but that you shape it. Every hour you live is not equal. Some are wide and full. Some are narrow and sharp. Some pass unnoticed. And some stay with you forever. This is why time feels longer in childhood, because everything is new. Your brain must build fresh maps for every street, every face, every feeling. There is more change, more emotion, and so time stretches. As you grow older, more things become familiar. The brain predicts more, absorbs less. And the days, even if full, begin to feel shorter. Time contracts, but this is not inevitable. You can still stretch time. You can still slow it down, not by waiting, but by noticing. By bringing your full presence to what is. By feeling instead of measuring. Next time you sip tea, notice its warmth. Next time you speak with someone, listen more than you plan your reply. Next time you see a sunrise, really see it. These small moments, lived fully, become wide in memory. They become elastic. Time, for you, is a feeling. And like all feelings, it responds to how you pay attention. So tonight, as you drift towards sleep, let your breath become your measure. Not the ticking of a clock, not the counting of hours, just the slow, even rhythm of your body. Here, now. You are not rushing. You are not late. You are right where you are meant to be. Inside this moment, however long it feels. And as your thoughts begin to soften, a question begins to rise, gentle and curious. If your mind can bend time, what does it do when time slips away entirely? What happens to time when you fall into dreams? You don't just live in time, you carry it with you. Inside your mind, there's a quiet, invisible calendar. You may not see it, but you feel it, move through it, return to it again and again. It's how you know what month it is by the smell of the air. How a certain date brings a memory, even if the year is long gone. How a single season can feel like a story. This internal calendar is not a list of numbers or boxes. It is soft and fluid, shaped by experience and meaning. Your brain builds it for repetition and rhythm. Sunrise and sunset, holidays and school years, birthdays and endings. Time is not just counted. It is felt, pictured, mapped. You walk through it not with your feet, but with your memory and your imagination. Scientists call this ability mental time travel. It's what allows you to revisit the past and imagine the future. You project yourself across time, like a beam of light across a vast field. You imagine next week's plans. You remember last year's fall. You feel the shape of a season, the color of a decade, the sound of a specific afternoon. And remarkably, your brain doesn't store time like a file cabinet. It stores it like a landscape. Events are laid out in spatial ways. You might think of the future as in front of you, and the past behind. Or you might see your week like a circle or a line, or a spiral, depending on how your mind prefers to organize. These are called mental timelines. They vary between cultures, languages, and even individuals. Some people see time flowing from left to right. Others feel it moving from up to down. To some, December feels low and dark. To others, it feels warm and wide. These maps are not learned from textbooks. They are built from living. And your brain uses these maps constantly. When you recall something, you don't pull out a fact. You step back into a room. You hear a voice, feel a season, remember what came before and what came after. Your memories are part of a timeline, not a collection. The hippocampus, the brain's storyteller and navigator, helps place these events. It gives them order and location. Not just what happened, but when and where and with whom. This helps you make sense of cause and effect, of growth and change. It's why stories have beginnings and middles and ends, because your brain understands time as narrative. And so you carry these stories. They are layered, like tree rings. The year you fell in love, the month you moved homes, the summer that changed you. Even if the dates fade, the shape remains, a felt architecture of your life. You also mark time through cycles, weeks, months, years. Even without checking the calendar, you feel their passing. Your body remembers routines. You feel different on Mondays than on Saturdays. You prepare for winter in your thoughts, long before it arrives. Circadian rhythms help guide these patterns, daily rhythms of wakefulness and rest. But there are longer rhythms too. You might call them emotional seasons, times of beginning, times of pause, times of loss, times of light returning. Your inner calendar is deeply personal. For someone else, October might mean celebration. For you, it might carry grief. Time becomes colored by what it holds. And so two people can stand in the same moment and feel completely different years. This is part of what makes time so mysterious. It is shared, and yet entirely your own. Even the structure of calendars reflects the human need to make sense of time. We carve time into units, days, months, centuries. We name years. We invent clocks and seasons. But beneath all these inventions is a simple truth. We are trying to hold something that flows. And so your brain does its best. It makes meaning out of motion. It builds calendars not to trap time, but to understand it, to give your life shape. To know where you are. Think of how you imagine the coming week. You see events spaced out, like pebbles on a path. You think of next month as a place you'll arrive. You imagine the future as terrain, and you prepare your steps accordingly. Your brain turns time into space, so you can navigate it. This mapping allows you to plan, to hope, to anticipate, but it also lets you look back. It lets you reflect, not just on facts, but on when they happened in your inner story. It helps you see patterns, growth, return. It gives your memories a home dot, and sometimes, when you feel lost, it's this inner calendar that steadies you. You remember that this too is a season, that change comes, that endings are often beginnings. In disguise, that your timeline is still unfolding dot, so tonight, as you lie still beneath the quiet sky of now, remember that you are moving through time, not like a leaf on a river, but like a traveler with a map. You are not lost. You are somewhere on your own winding path, your own sacred chronology. You may not know exactly what day it is, but you know where you are, in the season of your heart, in the echo of a memory, in the hush of what's to come. And as the hours drift onward, your thoughts begin to soften toward the question rising gently ahead. If your calendar helps you walk through time, what happens when your steps vanish and time slips into dream? The future is always just beyond your reach. You walk toward it step by step, moment by moment, but you never quite arrive. You live on the edge of what's next, always inside a now that keeps becoming. And when you try to see far ahead, days, years, lifetimes, things start to blur. Why does the future feel fuzzy? Because your brain wasn't built to see it clearly. It was built to survive the present, to notice patterns, detect changes, respond to what's near. The farther away something is in time, the harder it is for your mind to make it real. The future becomes a sketch, not a painting. Soft outlines, shifting shadows, possibilities without weight. This is called temporal discounting. The brain's quiet bias toward the now. You value immediate things more than distant ones. A sweet today is more tempting than a reward next month. A moment of comfort now feels stronger than the promise of ease later. It isn't a flaw. It's how the mind protects you from being too tangled in the unknown. But that same bias can make the future hard to feel. You can think about it, picture it, plan it, but it doesn't land in the body the way the present does. You can't taste next week. You can't hear next year's music. And so, even your biggest dreams feel vague when placed too far ahead. Your brain constructs the future like a soft simulation. It borrows from memory. It uses what you know, what you've done, what you've seen, to imagine what could come. But because you haven't lived it yet, the sensory detail is missing. It's like walking into a foggy field. You see shapes, but not textures. Paths, but not pebbles. This is why planning can feel hollow and why goals can feel unreal. You believe in them, but you don't feel them. They are mental, not yet emotional. They haven't touched your senses or stirred your body's rhythms. They live in the haze of maybe dot, and yet you try to make the future solid. You mark calendars. You write lists. You imagine where you'll be, what you'll do, who you'll become. You build scaffolding out of hope. This ability to imagine what hasn't happened is powerful. It's part of what makes you human. It allows you to prepare, to dream, to grow. But it comes with uncertainty. The more abstract a future moment is, the less your brain connects to it. So the distant future feels quiet, not because it isn't real, but because it isn't here. You might feel this most clearly in decisions. The ones that involve now feel urgent, vivid. The ones that involve later feel slippery, even if they're important, even if they matter more. The mind leans toward what it can grasp, and the future slips through its fingers. Still, not all futures feel the same. Near futures, the next hour, the next day, are easier to imagine. They borrow emotion from the present. You can see yourself drinking that cup of tea. You can feel yourself walking into that room. But 5 years from now, you become a ghost. A version of you that doesn't quite feel like you. This is another brain trick. Future self-distance. You treat your future self almost like a stranger. Someone you care about. Maybe, but don't fully know. And so it's easy to break promises to that future self. To stay up too late. To skip the thing you said you'd do. To delay what matters. Because the future self doesn't plead. It waits in silence, foggy and kind. But if the future is blurry, can it become clearer? Yes, not by making it come faster, but by bringing it closer. By stepping into it emotionally. By imagining it with more detail. Not just what will happen, but how it will feel. Not just a vision, but a moment with breath and sound and weight. This is what athletes do, what artists do, what dreamers do. They create the feeling of the future before it arrives. And in doing so, they make it vivid. You can do it too. Picture yourself doing something kind for your tomorrow self. Not grand, just gentle. Washing a dish. Stretching your limbs. Making a space calm and ready. Now add texture. Add light. Notice how the fog begins to lift. The clearer the future becomes, the more it can guide your choices in the present. The more it can steady your steps, shape your habits, soften your fears. But some parts of the future will always stay foggy. This is not failure, it's design. The unknown must stay open, or else nothing new could grow there. Uncertainty is the space where change can breathe. And so you live on a bridge between two kinds of time, the solid now and the soft ahead. One is heavy with sensation, the other light with possibility. Both are real, but they speak different. Language is dot, so tonight you sit with that fuzziness. You don't rush to define it. You let it be mist, not wall. You let it be invitation, not burden dot. And as your thoughts begin to drift across that soft mental horizon, a quiet question floats into view. If the future is shaped by imagination, what happens when imagination dreams in sleep? What kind of time unfolds behind closed eyes? You are a story your mind tells itself. Not a single moment, not a frozen image, but a thread stretched across the wide canvas of time. From early memories to quiet dreams, you move through your days weaving meaning, cause, and continuity. And somehow, in this weaving, you emerge. Yourself is not found in any 1 second. You are not just the person brushing their teeth this morning or sitting quietly in the dark. You are the sum of who you've been, who you are, and who you imagine becoming, all braided together into a living narrative. One only you can tell. This is called your autobiographical self. And it is made not from facts, but from meaning. You remember what matters, what lingers, what changed you. You place yourself inside stories, not because the brain likes fiction, but because it needs shape. Your mind writes time into story the way a tree grows rings. Each experience leaves a trace, not always visible, not always loud, but there, layered, deepened, pressed into the rhythm of you. You might remember your first school day not for the lessons, but for the smell of the room, the nerves in your stomach, the feeling of your hand letting go of another. You might forget the exact date of a loss, but still feel its weight every year. This is memory as meaning. As emotion rooted in time. The brain doesn't record like a camera. It writes like a poet. Some details stay, some fade. What matters most becomes metaphor. You remember not just what happened, but how it felt. To be you inside it. And in that way, you become your own narrator. You explain your life to yourself. You link one moment to the next. This happened, and so I changed. This is who I was, and this is who I am. These quiet explanations become your self-concept. They guide your choices, your hopes, your beliefs. They form the shape of you. And over time, that shape evolves. Not all at once, but gently, season by season. You are not fixed. Your story shifts with new experience, new memory, new interpretation. The past is not just behind you. It's rewritten, softly, each time you remember it. Because remembering is not retrieving a file. It is reimagining. This is why a memory can feel different each time you visit it. Why a moment once painful may soften with time. Why something forgotten returns suddenly, unexpectedly, like a leaf drifting down after a still wind. Your brain is a meaning maker. And meaning needs movement, needs time. Even your future is shaped by story. You imagine who you will be, not as random guesses, but as a natural continuation of who you've been. You project yourself forward, writing possibilities. I will grow into this. I will leave that behind. It helps you feel anchored. It helps you prepare. Without this thread, this sense of self across time, you would feel adrift. Moments would float unconnected. Decisions would feel random. But with your story, you feel momentum. You know what's yours. You carry a kind of inner compass. And yet, your story is never complete. You live always in the middle chapters. You can't flip ahead. You can't fully go back, but you can trace the arc. You can feel its rise and fall, its turning points and quiet pauses. Even your dreams, those nighttime imaginings, are shaped by the story of you. Your brain continues the narrative while you sleep, sometimes looping unresolved questions, sometimes placing you in new roles, trying out new endings. That, too, is part of your unfolding dot. So ask yourself, what kind of story are you telling? Is it kind? Is it curious? Is it open to change? You don't need to know the ending. You don't need to have perfect memory of the beginning. You just need to listen to the voice inside that says, this is what I've lived. This is what I'm learning. This is who I'm becoming. And when your story feels stuck, when the plot seems lost, remember, you are allowed to rewrite, to reinterpret, to return and soften, to imagine again. Yourself is not a single sentence. It is a rhythm, a breath, a becoming. And tonight, as you rest within this gentle space between thoughts, you sense it, the ongoing thread, winding quietly into the dark. And you wonder, as you close your eyes, if your story continues in dreams, a moment of touch. Just that, the light brush of a hand, the warm press of a palm, the stillness of an embrace. It passes quickly, a flicker in time, and yet, somehow, it lingers. It carves itself softly into memory, not as a measurement, but as a feeling that lives on. You may not recall the exact second it happened. You might forget the day, the setting, the sounds, but the feeling, that stays. Your skin remembers what your mind lets go. Touch is one of your most ancient senses. Before words, before thought, before memory had shape, there was touch. It is the first way you learned the world, and in many ways remains the most grounding. A language beneath language. But how does touch carry time? Your skin is not just a barrier. It is a gateway. It listens constantly, translating sensation into signals, relayed upward to the brain. Soft pressure, sharp heat, a subtle breeze. All are measured and sent as electrical whispers. But it is your mind that makes them mean something. That decides whether they are safe or soothing or startling. And in that decision, time stretches or compresses. A painful touch can last longer than it does. Its memory flares again and again, sometimes long after the sensation has ended. But a comforting touch, a held hand, a shared hug, can collapse time. It makes the moment feel whole, complete, uncounted. You feel this most deeply in the quiet moments, when a parent's hand rests on your shoulder, or a friend leans close, or a child curls up against your chest. The seconds lose their urgency. You aren't tracking the clock. You are being. And in that presence, time feels different. This is not just poetry. It's physiology. Touch activates networks in the brain that link sensation with emotion. When you're touched gently, the brain releases oxytocin, a hormone of trust, bonding, calm. Your heart rate may slow. Your breath may deepen. And all of this alters your internal experience of time. Moments feel softer. Edges blur. You enter a kind of temporal suspension, where only the now matters, and even the now feels slow and spacious. This may be why grief remembers touch so clearly. You may forget conversations, even faces, but you remember how someone held you, how they squeezed your hand, how their warmth stayed just long enough to quiet the ache. The memory of that contact endures in the body. Or think of touch in romance, how a brief moment can feel endless. A brush of fingers, the warmth of skin against skin. Even after it's gone, the echo remains. Touch becomes memory, and memory becomes a time that lives inside you. Touch can even alter your perception of how long something takes. Studies show that being touched while waiting, a reassuring hand on the shoulder, for instance, can make the wait feel shorter. Not because time changes, but because attention shifts. Your mind rests in the comfort of contact, rather than the discomfort of delay. And yet, not all touch is soft. Unwanted touch can expand time, too, but in ways that are jarring, intrusive. It sharpens awareness. It can etch itself into memory as something that returns uninvited. The body holds both warmth and wound. This duality makes touch powerful. Is why humans learn to read it carefully, to seek it when safe, to avoid it when it hurts. And why the timing of touch matters. A hug at the right moment can restore you. The same gesture at the wrong time might feel hollow. And so you carry a tactile timeline, a hidden history not in numbers, but in feeling. Moments when you were held. Moments when you were left untouched. Moments when touch stitched you back together. Even when you are alone, your body remembers. A soft blanket, a warm bath, the way you wrap your arms around yourself in the dark. These are not just actions. They are echoes. Echoes of a nervous system that seeks grounding. That finds time not only in clocks, but in calm. Your skin is your largest sense organ. And through it, you keep time in sensations. Cool morning air on your face. The roughness of bark under your palm. The pressure of your feet against the earth. Each touch a tiny marker, a bead on the string of your day. And in sleep, even then, your body remembers. The weight of a blanket, the rhythm of breath beside you, the subtle presence of safety. These become part of your dream world. The texture of your rest. So tonight, as you drift between wakefulness and sleep, let your skin settle. Notice the feeling of the sheets, the air, the warmth around you. Notice how touch anchors you. Not in the past, not in the future, but in this. Quiet now. And as your breath deepens and your thoughts begin to blur, a gentle question begins to rise, unhurried and light. If time can be felt in skin, can it also be tasted in silence or heard in sleep? You slip beneath the surface of sleep, and something quiet begins to shift. The ticking of the clock fades, softens, vanishes. You are no longer tethered to time in the usual way. Minutes lose their grip. Hours bend like branches in the wind. And suddenly, you are elsewhere, not in place, not in time, but in a dream. Here, you might walk through childhood and old age in the same breath. You might find yourself in a place you've never seen, speaking to someone you once loved, wrapped in a feeling that has no name. Time in dreams flows like water poured into the air, directionless, floating, strange. But inside this strangeness, there's a gentle kind of truth. Your dreaming mind is not broken or lost. It is exploring, weaving, reorganizing. Even when untethered from real time, it is still making meaning. In waking life, your brain is a careful timekeeper. It tracks rhythms, routines, durations. It watches the light and dark of day, the beat of your heart, the tempo of speech. But when you fall asleep, those clocks begin to fade. And in rapid eye movement, REM sleep, Your mind drifts into a realm where time becomes something else entirely. In dreams, seconds can feel like hours, or hours can collapse into the blink of a moment. You may live through an entire story, rise, fall, joy, sorrow, in what takes only a few real-time minutes. This is not your imagination playing tricks. It is your brain working with a different kind of time. Why does time behave so strangely in dreams? Because your brain's usual methods of keeping time, especially those governed by the prefrontal cortex, go quiet during REM sleep. This part of your brain, responsible for logic, structure, and rational sequence, steps aside. And in its place, the emotional brain, the limbic system, takes the stage. Here, story is not ruled by cause and effect, but by feeling and association. Leap from one moment to another, not because they're linked by time, but because they're linked by emotion. You feel something, and that feeling leads you somewhere else. It's like moving across stepping stones made of memory, rather than walking a timeline. This dream logic lets you visit the past without warning, or glimpse a future that hasn't yet arrived. It lets you move between spaces. A hallway becomes a forest. A face becomes a stranger, all without confusion. Because in this space, time does not need to obey. And yet, even here, your brain is working hard. It is sorting memories, strengthening connections, softly rehearsing what matters. Sometimes it's reprocessing pain. Other times, it's simply integrating experience, giving you a deeper understanding of things you can't quite explain. You may not remember all of this when you wake, but the work is done nonetheless. Dreams are not noise. They are workshops of meaning. In this workshop, the materials are not just events, but feelings about events. Dreams let you revisit what still lingers. An unresolved conversation, a loss you didn't fully grieve, a joy you wish you could hold longer. In waking life, time moves forward. But in dreams, time turns around and around. You loop, you return, you bend the line into a circle. And sometimes, something strange happens. You experience a dream that feels like it took all night, but the clock says it lasted only 5 minutes. This is because dreams expand subjectively. They take place in inner time, not outer time. Your brain fills in detail quickly, skipping over the filler, holding on only to what matters emotionally. And still, there's more. Some dreams feel longer than they are. Others feel brief, but when you wake, the feeling remains for hours, even days. It's as if time inside the dream compressed, but its meaning expanded. This shows you something beautiful about your mind. It is not bound by clocks. To feel deeply, it doesn't need real hours to create real emotion. Even in brief flashes, it can offer insight, reflection, transformation. And then there are lucid dreams. Those rare moments when you realize, within the dream, that you're dreaming. Here, something remarkable happens. You briefly regain access to parts of your waking brain, the very parts that track time, logic, self-awareness. And in these dreams, time can be stretched consciously. You can slow it down, shape it, stay inside it, if only for a little while. But even lucid dreams must end. You wake. The world returns to its regular rhythm. The rustle of morning, the whisper of minutes passing. The clocks tick again. And yet, something has changed. Not in the outer world, but in you. You carry with you the trace of timelessness. A sense that time is not only what the clocks say, it's also how you feel. Time. How you make time, how you remember time. You begin to realize time is not a hallway. It is a sea. And in dreams you swim far from shore, unanchored, open to all directions. So what do you bring back from those drifting voyages? Maybe a forgotten face. Maybe a puzzle piece that quietly clicks into place. Maybe just the feeling of having been Somewhere without edges, without pressure, without gravity. You may not remember the dream itself, but you feel its residue, like dew on your thoughts, soft and hard to hold. You wake not just into morning, but into a new kind of understanding. Dreams remind you, time is not always linear, not always forward, not always measured in seconds and days. Sometimes, time is the shape of a story your mind tells while you sleep. A place where the future and past dissolve into symbols and echoes. And perhaps that is why, even without remembering the details, you wake sometimes with your heart beating strangely, with the sense that something important has happened. That somewhere, inside the timeless dark, a piece of you was rearranged. Now the light returns slowly as waking time takes hold. But something inside you lingers in that deep terrain. And just before it fades, a question whispers through the veil. If time disappears in dreams, what happens to time and death? Chapter 13. The Future Self Dilemma Summary. You care for your present self, but future you feels like a stranger. That distance changes how you plan, save, act. Let's gently build a bridge between who you are and who you're becoming. Word count, 1,350. You sit with yourself in this moment, here. Now, breathing softly, sensing the room around you. You know what you want, what feels good, what matters today. And yet, when you think of the person you'll be next year, or in 10 years, that version of you feels vague. As if the future self is not quite you, but someone else. A shadow in the distance. A voice behind a door. This is the future self dilemma. It's not laziness or forgetfulness. It's a deep, quiet truth of the human mind. We are wired to care for the present. The future is harder to feel. Even when you know, intellectually, that your future self is you, it doesn't feel that way. The connection is thin, like a thread stretched across time. And that thinness changes how you act. You may eat what's easy, rather than what's healthy. Spend instead of save. Delay the hard thing for later. Always for later. It's not that you don't care. It's that your brain is designed for immediacy. The now is vivid, warm, full of signals. But the future? The future is fog. When you imagine your future self, your brain activates regions similar to when you think about a stranger. Not a family member. Not a best friend. A stranger. Someone distant. Abstract. Less real. This neurological distance has a name. Temporal discounting. It means you value things less when they're farther away in time. A reward now feels heavier than the same reward later. A cost today feels sharper than a cost next month. But what if you could feel the future more vividly? What if you could know your future self not as a stranger, but as a continuation, the next ripple in your pond? Some studies suggest that even a small shift in perception can help. Looking at an aged photo of yourself, writing a letter from the future you back to the present, imagining with care not just what you'll look like, but what you'll feel. How your choices today will echo in that version of you. Because time is not just a line forward. It's a relationship between the self now and the self ahead. And that relationship, like any other, needs tending. You don't have to imagine your entire life. You just need to visit your future self now and then. Check in. Listen. Ask, what might I thank myself for? What might I regret? What quiet kindness can I offer now that will ripple forward? Even simple questions open the door. When you choose sleep over scrolling, you care for your future mind. When you set aside a little money, you give future you peace. When you forgive someone today, you clear space inside the heart of your tomorrow. These aren't grand gestures. They're soft steps across the bridge. They say, I remember you. They say, we are not so far apart. And the closer you feel to your future self, the easier it becomes to act with foresight. Not from discipline or guilt, but from tenderness, from the understanding that the self you'll become is already growing in the soil of your choices now. Think of a garden. You plant seeds without seeing the bloom. You water dry ground with faith. You care for something invisible, because you know it matters. This is how you tend to your future, Dodd. And sometimes, when the future feels especially unreal, when the days ahead seem too uncertain to hold, come back to something smaller. The next morning, the next breath. The version of you that wakes tomorrow deserves gentleness. It's easy to lose sight of this when the world moves fast. When everything is urgent, immediate, loud. But slow decisions, patient care, are a kind of quiet rebellion. They say, I will not abandon the person I am becoming. And when you do stumble, when you eat the thing you said you wouldn't, skip the walk, spend what you meant to save. Let that be a moment of softness, not shame. Your future self doesn't need a perfect version of you, just a caring one, a steady one who returns to the path with each new step. Because the truth is, you are never fully separate from your future. It's growing within you even now. Your bones rebuilding overnight. Your thoughts shifting slightly with each new insight. Your desires changing shape. Quietly, the self you'll be is not waiting far away. It is unfurling, day by day, breath by breath. Within the self, you already are. And when you begin to see that, the dilemma softens. The stranger becomes a sibling. The fog begins to clear. Tonight, as you drift toward rest, let your mind gently reach forward, not with worry, not with plans, just with curiosity. What might it feel like to meet the future you? Not as a ghost in the mist, but as a familiar face. And just as the image begins to settle, quiet and unsure, another question begins to glow in the dark. If you can imagine your future self, can you also imagine other futures? Not yours, but everyone's? There are moments when the clock in your mind seems to stop ticking, not because time itself has paused, but because something within you has stepped so deeply into the present, the future no longer exists. The past melts away like mist. You are here, entirely, astonishingly here. Maybe it's the sound of sudden news, a voice on the other end of the phone, flat and trembling. Maybe it's the glimmering silence between two people before they speak. Or maybe it's awe, the edge of a canyon, the hush of snowfall, the way a child reaches for your hand. In these rare seconds, you are no longer counting time. You are inside it. The moment stretches. It thickens. It becomes something sacred. Science calls this time dilation. But you've known it long before any name was given. You've felt it in moments of danger, when a car suddenly swerves and you're sure the world has slowed. You felt it in moments of joy, the exact second you fall in love, or say goodbye, or realize something you never quite saw before. In those fragments of life, your brain isn't broken. It's awakened. Time feels slower, not because reality has changed, but because your attention has changed. Your awareness becomes sharper, wider. More details flood in: sounds, sensations, micro-movements of thought. Your mind takes in more data per second, and so, when you remember it later, it feels like it lasted longer than it did. It's like recording a film in slow motion. The more frames you capture, the longer the scene seems when you play it back. Your brain, especially the amygdala, which processes emotion, turns up the resolution. It says, this matters. And so, it stops rushing. You are caught in the gravity of the moment. You feel every breath, every blink, every beat of your heart. The illusion of frozen time is not a trick. It's a signal that something profound is happening. You may feel this when you're deeply afraid, your body primed to act, your mind scanning the environment in high detail. You may feel it when you're moved by beauty, when you step into a Forest after rain, and the world smells green and clean and endlessly alive. Sometimes, stillness happens even in sorrow. When grief enters the room and everything goes quiet inside you, even tears wait. Even words hold back. You are not running from the moment. You are standing inside it. This is a rare kind of presence. Not the forced stillness of meditation, not the distracted rest of waiting, but true, involuntary presence. The kind your nervous system gives you when something demands your full self, and yet it passes. The clock will resume. The tick-tick will return. You'll glance at your phone. The world will tug you forward, but something remains. A trace of the deep pause lingers, like a breath held in the memory. These moments become bookmarks in your timeline. You may forget entire months, but not that second, that one precise moment when you stood still and time stood with you. And the more you reflect, the more you notice. These still moments are often the beginnings of change. You might make a decision in them, or receive a truth, or let go of something you didn't know you were carrying. In that pause, clarity arrives. It's as if your mind opens a window between seconds, a space not found on clocks or calendars, a space where you just are. Your senses become instruments of presence. Sight becomes richer, sound becomes slower, touch becomes more profound, and you begin to understand. You can't make these moments happen, but you can notice them when they do. The mind is usually too fast, too hungry for what's next. But now and then, when something breaks the expected, a beauty, a fear, a truth, you fall into stillness like a coin falling into deep water. And it is there you realize you have always had this capacity. Even now, as you listen, slowly, sleepily, you may feel a slowness rise. Not drowsy, not forgetful, but soft. Present. Time moves forward, but inside you, a hush grows. A tiny space between moments where nothing needs to happen. You are not late. You are not early. You are not behind. You are here. The brain's perception of time is plastic, flexible, alive. It stretches and compresses based on your focus, your emotion, your need. And so, in a moment of great need, it can open like a flower. Even in memory, you can return to that feeling. Recall it like a scent, a color, a slowed heartbeat. This isn't just poetic. It's biological. Your hippocampus, the part of your brain involved in memory, encodes emotional moments more deeply. And in turn, emotion alters the sense of time. So, when time stood still for you, in grief, in joy, in revelation, it etched itself into the structure of your being. You are made, in part, of those suspended seconds. You carry them, not as burdens, but as truths. Even if they felt painful, they showed you something real. Even if they were beautiful, they asked you to see more clearly. Each pause, each freeze, was a quiet door into yourself. And now, maybe you wonder, if time can stop and wonder, if the clocks fall silent in love, in danger, in awe, then what else might make the world pause? Is it possible, just possible, that empathy might slow time too? When you truly see someone, when you hold their pain without fleeing, when you listen without waiting to reply, doesn't the world seem to slow? When two eyes meet and nothing needs to be said, when kindness bridges silence, doesn't that feel like a pause? Perhaps compassion creates its own dilation, its own space inside the rush of days. And maybe that's the secret. Stillness isn't just a glitch in time. It's a mirror, a threshold, a beginning. And so, as you prepare to drift further into the night, as sleep gathers around you like a soft tide, you carry with you the knowledge that time is not only something to pass through. It is something that, at rare and sacred intervals, opens itself and holds you. Now, as your breath softens and the world grows quiet, a question settles on your chest. gentle and glowing. If stillness can teach you so much about a single moment, what might slowness teach you about an entire life? Your mind is a magician. Each day, it performs tricks you barely notice. It hides, distorts, stretches, and repeats time without your permission. You think time flows like a river, but inside your head, it warps like a reflection in rippling water that sometimes you feel you've lived a moment before. A face, a phrase, a room suddenly familiar, déjà vu. It flickers for a second. A shiver down your spine, a pause in your breath, as if your memory has jumped ahead of your experience. But déjà vu is not memory reaching backward. It is your brain playing tricks forward. Scientists believe it may be a misfire between perception and recognition, a brief lag, where your brain processes the present twice. The first pass feels like a memory. The second confirms it. The result is eerie, but harmless. A soft ripple. In the mental fabric. Then there's slow motion. Time dragging out like syrup. Not in dreams, but in real moments. Falling, crashing, fearing. You felt it, maybe. In the seconds before an accident. In the middle of an argument. In the hush before a decision. During moments of high stress, your brain takes in more detail. It floods with norepinephrine, a chemical that heightens awareness. More information gets stored, more frames per second. Later, when you remember it, the moment feels longer, richer. Time didn't stretch. You deepened. Sometimes the trick is repetition. You hear the same song every day, and time speeds up. Routine compresses experience. The more familiar the input, the less attention it demands. Your brain economizes. It doesn't waste effort. Reprocessing the known. So days blur together. But when something new happens, even a small change, time slows again. Novelty demands notice. It stretches the second, opens the minute. Your mind builds time from attention, from texture, from surprise. The clock on the wall keeps ticking evenly. But your felt time DOES and single quotes T. And sometimes your mind loops. You dwell on the past, replaying a mistake, revisiting a joy, reliving a moment. These loops are mental time travel, not caused by magic, but by memory pathways reactivating. The same neural patterns light up, and for a moment, your mind forgets. You've moved on. Emotion plays a role too. Anxiety pushes time forward. You imagine the worst. Regret pulls it back. You rewrite the past. Your sense of time bends with feeling. Grief slows it. Boredom stretches it. Joy compresses it into bright, short bursts. And yet, the tricks don't end there. There are days that feel like they never happened. You went through the motions, but nothing left a mark. Time vanished. This is the illusion of unmarked time. No novelty, no emotion, no memory. Like walking through fog with your eyes closed. But other times, a single moment defines an entire day. One laugh, one tear, one insight. And suddenly, that day is full, anchored, real. Your brain is not trying to deceive you. It's doing its best to organize experience, to compress the repetitive and highlight the meaningful. But this compression creates gaps, folded moments, vanishing hours. You think you live every second. But in truth, you live the parts your brain decides are worth remembering. The rest becomes background. So how you catch more of time? Not with clocks, not with lists, but with awareness. You slow time by widening your attention, noticing texture, savoring the ordinary. You create anchors by reflecting, writing, talking, remembering. These acts pull time into shape. And when the illusions come, déjà vu, time loops, sped up days, you can greet them with curiosity. You might say, a trick of the mind, A reminder that time isn't fixed, because it isn't. It never was. Even right now, as you listen, your brain is deciding how to store this moment. As important or forgettable, the softness of your breath, the dim rhythm of your thoughts. These will determine how time feels tomorrow. And perhaps the most powerful illusion of all is the belief that time is outside you, that it flows, independent and objective. But inside you, time is handcrafted. It is woven from what you notice, from what you feel, from what you choose to carry. And if that's true, then time isn't just a container. It's a creation, your creation. Now, as the curtain closes on this quiet chapter, you can feel the shift. The magician pauses. The trick's slow, and something more delicate begins to rise. If your mind can bend time so easily, what might happen? In moments when time seems to disappear altogether, you are not one clock. You are thousands. Hidden in your cells, your organs, your very DNA, tiny keepers of rhythm tick on. Even while you sleep, the mind watches the ticking hands of the wall clock, but your body listens to subtler instruments. Each morning, as light reaches your eyes, a signal begins. The suprachiasmatic nucleus, a cluster of neurons deep in your brain, awakens. It is your master clock, your conductor. It tells the rest of the orchestra when to rise, when to rest, when to pause. But it is not alone. In your liver, a set of cells waits quietly for the signal. A nudge from your first bite of breakfast, the sugar in your blood, the warmth in your gut. Your digestive system tells time, not in minutes, but in meals. In your skin, cells anticipate sunlight. Even in darkness, they retain a sense of dawn and dusk. They repair themselves most diligently while you sleep. And within each cell, even the smallest, genes turn on and off in rhythmic pulses. Some proteins rise in the morning, fall at night. Others dance to a 24-hour beat, untouched by your awareness. These rhythms are called circadian rhythms, from the Latin circadium, about a day. They govern more than sleep and wake. They regulate your mood, your hunger, your blood pressure. They shape your energy, your memory, your healing. Imagine it like this. Each cell holds a violin. Some play soft and slow, others sharp and quick. But without the conductor, the brain's master clock, they would fall out of tune. Yet even the master clock listens. It listens to the light in your eyes, the timing of your meals, the movement of your limbs. Light resets it. Food fine-tunes it. Exercise adjusts it like a dial. And when your routine changes, when you travel across time zones, or stay up all night, the clocks stumble. Jet lag is not just fatigue. It is a temporary dissonance in your inner orchestra. Your brain thinks it is morning. Your liver thinks it's midnight. Your stomach doesn't know when to be hungry. You are for a few days out of sync. But slowly, the music returns. The conductor lifts its baton again. The cells listen. And the body remembers. Even in complete darkness, your body keeps time. Lab experiments with people in caves. No clocks, no sun. Show a natural rhythm persists. Slightly longer than 24 hours, but steady. Your body wants to keep time. It needs rhythm the way lungs need breath. And when the rhythm is broken by shift work, insomnia, endless scrolling under blue light, the costs rise. Mood frays. Immunity dips. Metabolism slows. The clocks fall out of tune, and the music turns harsh. But you can reset. Every morning, when you wake up and feel light on your face, you are resetting the master clock. Every meal you eat at the same time, every walk in the afternoon sun, every evening of calm, you are conducting the symphony again. Even your heartbeat follows a pattern. Slower at night, faster at dawn. Your blood pressure dips in sleep, then climbs as morning nears. Your temperature rises through the day, then gently cools to invite sleep. You are built for rhythm. You are written in rhythm dot, and not just daily rhythms. There are longer tides within you, menstrual cycles, hormonal seasons, sleep architecture, rising and falling in 90-minute waves. You live nested within loops of time dot, and deep within, another clock turns, the aging clock. Every cell divides with purpose, and with each division, its ends. The telomeres grow shorter. They are not timekeepers in hours, but in years. Biological candles burning softly with age. But even here, rhythm matters. Sleep, food, stress, all these shape how fast the candle shortens. You are not a machine with one ticking gear. You are a forest of clocks, each growing, shrinking, pulsing. With time dot, and just as a forest thrives with sunlight and seasons, your inner clocks thrive on care. You may not hear them, but they sing. In how you wake, how you move, how you rest. Even the cells in your muscles anticipate your exercise. They adjust, rebuild, grow stronger on cue. Even your gut microbes, the silent, unseen partners within, follow daily cycles. They shift in number and type between night and day, helping digest, protect, and communicate with your brain. Weaves through you not as an external ruler, but as an internal pulse dot. And when you listen, really listen, you feel it dot in the way hunger rises at the same hour, in the dip of afternoon sleepiness, in the calm of evening light. You are tuned to the turning earth. When you rise at dawn, when you sleep with the dark, you move with the planet's song. This alignment is not a superstition. It is science. It is biology evolved over millions of sunrises. Even blind animals have rhythms. Even single-celled organisms sleep in a sense, slowing down, restoring, waiting for the next light. Time, in your body, is not passive. It is instruction dot. It tells cells when to divide, when to clean, when to heal. It tells you when to rest, when to focus, when to let go dot. And as you lie still now, breathing gently, those clocks continue, unseen, unhurried, unmistakably yours. You do not need to command them. You only need to honor them by sleeping, eating, moving, pausing in rhythm dot. You are not separate from time. You are time, expressed in living form, a clock in every cell, a symphony beneath your skin, a quiet music that plays, even now dot, and perhaps, if you listen closely, you'll begin to hear not just their ticking, but what they're counting toward. You move through time as if it flows the same for all, but step across a border, and the rhythm changes. Turn a page in another language, and time bends. Time is not only biological, it is cultural, carved by stories, customs, and the shape of speech dot in your mind. The future lies ahead. You face it, leaning forward into what's to come. The past trails behind you like a soft wind, fading. But in Aymara, an indigenous language spoken in the Andes, this is reversed. The past is in front of you. It's visible, known, seen. The future is behind, hidden from view. What you can't see is what has already happened. What you cannot see is still coming. Different, isn't it? But no less true, because time is not just what the clock tells. It's what the mind imagines. And your imagination is shaped by the words you speak. Some languages have no tenses, no clear past, present, or future. Only context, hints from tone, gesture, situation dot, and in those cultures, time flows differently. Less as a line, more as a field, an open space where events happen, but not always in sequence. Even the way you arrange space reflects your view of time. In English, we say, looking forward to it, but in Mandarin, time flows from top to bottom. In Zeltal, a Mayan language, the future is downhill, and the past is uphill. As if time were a path through a mountain dot, direction becomes meaning. Gesture becomes philosophy. If you always point ahead when thinking of the future, you begin to believe in progress, in momentum, in the idea that life moves forward like an arrow. But if the future is behind you, you learn to trust less in control and more in mystery. You surrender to what cannot yet be seen. Your calendar, too, carries culture. In the West, time is boxed. Days in grids, weeks in rows. Linear, measured, predictable dot. But in many indigenous cultures, time is cyclical. Seasons spiral back. Events echo. The year is not a track, but a circle dot in Balinese tradition. Two calendars run side by side. One tracks lunar cycles. The other, ritual weeks minus 210-day spirals of sacred time. Time there is layered, not linear. Ceremonial, not numerical. Even holidays shape how time is felt. In some cultures, the new year begins in spring, with growth, rebirth, sunlight returning. In others, it begins in winter, a quiet reset in the dark. Each rhythm plants a different feeling in the soul. Now think of punctuality, of meetings, deadlines, clocks. In monochronic cultures, like Germany, the US, or Japan, time is segmented. Appointments are strict. Lateness feels like disrespect. But in polychronic cultures, like many in Latin America, the Middle East, or parts of Africa, time is fluid. People matter more than minutes. The present task, the person in front of you, takes priority. Neither way is right or wrong, just different compositions of life. Even waiting is cultural. In some places, waiting is passive, a pause, a delay. A nuisance. In others, it is contemplative, a space to breathe, observe, reflect. Cultures that emphasize stillness in daily rituals like tea ceremonies, prayer calls, afternoon siestas tend to perceive time as expansive, not something to conquer, but to accompany. And technology changes this. In fast-paced societies, digital time bleeds into the body. Notifications replace bells. Scrolling replaces silence. Urgency becomes the default, but not everywhere. In parts of Bhutan, the national philosophy includes gross national happiness. Time there is measured not in profit but in peace. Slowness is not waste, it is wisdom. Even grief has cultural time. In some cultures, mourning is brief, private, linear, expected to end. In others, it is open-ended, years long, public, sacred. The soul is not rushed to heal. Time, here, is patient. You may not notice these layers until you leave home. Travel stretches your sense of time, not just in jet lag, but in how you're expected to be. To wait longer, to eat slower, to greet more sincerely, to let the day unfold without counting its hours. You begin to realize what you thought was universal was only familiar. And as you learn another culture's time, you soften. You begin to see your own not as truth, but as one version of rhythm. Time becomes music again, played in different keys. Now, take a moment to look inward. What kind of time do you keep? Are you chasing or flowing, filling or feeling? Is time your master or your companion? Cultures shape time, yes, but over time, you shape it back. You choose the pace of your meals, the way you speak about tomorrow, the value you place on slowness. You carry ancestral rhythms in your gestures, but you also compose your own. And perhaps the most healing thing you can do is to hold space for many times. The clock time, the body time, the soul time, the seasonal, the spiritual, the spontaneous. Let them all coexist without forcing them into one tempo. You are not late. You are living in your own time. And in the quiet between cultures, you begin to ask, if time is shaped by language, ritual, and place, then what is time when there are no words, no maps, no clocks? Above you, even now, the sky continues to turn. Whether you notice or not, the stars slide westward each night. The moon waxes and wanes. The sun climbs and falls across the seasons. And all of it keeps time. Long before there were watches on wrists or bells in towers, humans looked upward to understand the rhythm of life. The sky was the first clock, the first teacher of time. When your ancestors gazed at the heavens, they were not stargazing for beauty alone. They were watching for guidance, for order, for when to plant, when to harvest, when to gather, when to rest. Imagine a quiet clearing. Thousands of years ago, the night sky stretches overhead like a vast black sea. The stars drift slowly, steadily, and with them, the sense of time passing. They noticed that certain stars rose just before dawn at particular times of year. This was not random. It was a calendar in motion. The ancient Egyptians watched Sirius, the bright star whose rising signaled the coming of the Nile floods, a sacred moment in their year. To them, Sirius wasn't just a distant sun. It was time's messenger. The Babylonians charted the heavens with obsessive precision. They recorded eclipses, tracked the wandering of planets, and built the foundation for much of modern astronomy. Their sky was filled with gods, yes, but also with data. You too carry their legacy. When you glance at the moon and feel a pull, when you notice the long twilight of summer, you are tapping into a rhythm older than history. Time, after all, did not begin with ticking seconds. It began with light and shadow. The day is the spin of Earth on its axis, one full turn. Sun to sun. The month is the moon's long orbit, changing shape in the sky like a silent tide. The year, the grand loop, is Earth's path around the sun, marked by seasons, solstices. Equinoxes. Each of these movements, invisible yet real, becomes the structure of your life. You celebrate birthdays because Earth circled once more. You sleep by night because our planet turned you from the light. You grow old in the slow arithmetic of orbits. You are cosmic in your timing. And beyond the sun and moon, the stars mark even slower calendars. The constellations rise earlier each night. Orion in winter, Scorpius in summer. You may not notice it consciously, but your ancestors built temples, tombs, and myths around these patterns. Stonehenge aligns with the solstice. Sun, the Mayan El Castillo pyramid, casts a serpent of shadow at equinox. Aboriginal Australians used star maps to find water across the desert. They did not read clocks. They read the sky, and still, it moves above you. Even now, in your time of screens and alarms, the sky remains unchanged. Time still flows there, but slower, more patient. The light from some stars you see tonight began its journey before you were born. Hundreds, even thousands of years ago, photons left a distant sun and traveled across the emptiness just to meet your eyes. This is cosmic time, not measured in hours, but in light years. And in this scale, your life becomes a flicker, a soft breath in the story of stars. Yet even that flicker fits. You are part of the same unfolding. You are made of stardust, carbon from long dead suns, iron forged in stellar cores. Time made you. Time shaped you. And the stars are your distant kin. In a way, when you gaze upward, you are looking into the past. Because the stars are far, their light is old. Every twinkle is a message delayed. That star over there, it may no longer even exist. Its light is still traveling, a ghost of a sun that may be gone. This is not sad. This is sublime. The cosmos holds time gently, stretching it over great distances, making memory out of motion. And your planet spins quietly within it. The stars do not rush. They circle with elegance. They wait, and maybe you need that reminder that time can be steady, that not everything must be fast. Even the way we count years today traces back to sky watches. Our 365-day calendar follows Earth's orbit. Our leap years correct for the imperfect match. Our months still whisper of the moon, though we no longer align them perfectly. Even the 7-day week, so ingrained in your mind, may have roots in the 7 visible celestial bodies: Sun, Moon, Mars, Mercury, Jupiter, Venus, Saturn. 7 wanderers. 7 names. 7 steps of time. And astrology, though not science, reminds us how deeply humans crave patterns in the stars. To see personality in planets, to trace fading constellations, to feel held by a sky that watches back. Even if the stars do not steer your future, they anchor your sense of vastness. You are small, but not insignificant. You are a moment in Earth's turning, a pulse in the heartbeat of space. And so tonight, as you drift slowly into sleep, imagine yourself wrapped in sky. Not just the dark above, but the deep memory of time itself. Let the moon rise in your thoughts. Let ancient starlight soften your breath. You are not bound to the clocks you've built. You are part of a larger time, older, wiser, wider than you can measure. And in that space, in that slow sky-spun rhythm, a new question stirs softly beneath your dreams. If time can stretch across galaxies, what does it mean when we say, now? You walk with time in your pocket. It hums in your phone, sings in your watch, guides you down roads with whispered instructions. Turn left. Arrive in 7 minutes. But beneath that casual guidance lies something strange. Unfelt, unspoken, but astonishing. Your phone speaks to satellites orbiting high above you. And those satellites, circling Earth at great speed, experience time differently than you do. Yes, truly, not metaphorically. Not in the poetic way time feels different on a holiday or a hospital bed, but physically, mathematically. Relativity. Einstein's theory of relativity, one of the most beautiful, bewildering ideas in science, tells us this. Time is not a fixed river. It does not flow the same for all. It bends. It stretches. It dances with gravity and motion. And you, in the stillness of your body, live in a slower stream than those speeding above you. Let's float there for a moment. Imagine 2 clocks, perfectly synchronized. One stays on Earth with you. One is placed on a satellite orbiting at high speed. After a while, they're compared again. The satellite clock has ticked faster, because it is further from Earth's gravity, because it's moving quickly through space. This is not a glitch. It's not a malfunction. It's the nature of time itself. Einstein saw that gravity is not just a force. It is a bending of spacetime. Mass, like the mass of Earth, curves, the fabric of the universe. And time, like light, follows the bend. So near something massive, like a planet or a black hole, time slows down. Further away, in the thinner fabric, time speeds up. This is called gravitational time dilation. Even on Earth, this subtle shift exists. Clocks on mountaintops tick a little faster than clocks in valleys. The difference is tiny billionths of a second. But it's real. And your devices notice. Without adjusting for relativity, your GPS would drift, getting your position wrong by kilometers each day. The software inside your phone silently corrects for the fact that time, for your satellite, guides moves faster. So every time you check a map, you are using Einstein's mind. His vision of a flexible time echoes in your route to the grocery store, and it goes deeper. Speed changes time too. A fast-moving object, like a rocket, or a particle in an accelerator, experiences time more slowly than something at rest. This is special relativity. Not because it's rare, but because it applies in special conditions, when gravity isn't changing, but speed is. The faster you move, the slower your time flows from the viewpoint of someone not moving with you. This is not fiction. It has been measured. It has been lived. In 1971, Scientists flew atomic clocks aboard airplanes, first eastward, then westward. When the planes landed, the clocks were no longer in sync with those left on the ground. The difference was tiny, fractions of a second, but it matched Einstein's predictions exactly. And if one day you could travel near the speed of light, your time would slow dramatically. You could spend a few months on the ship and return to find that decades had passed on Earth. This is not a loophole to visit the future. It is a consequence of the way time and space interweave. And yet, you don't feel this bending, because relativity is subtle at human speeds. You are not a satellite or a starship. You are a walking pace, a heart rate, a breath. So time feels solid, steady. But underneath, it is supple, like silk stretched over invisible curves, like water shaped by unseen forces. And perhaps it comforts you to know that time isn't universal, that even time, the great equalizer, shows preference. Faster here, slower there. So you are not late. You are simply local, bound by your gravity, your speed, your position in the cosmos. And this truth, that time is not fixed, ripples through more than technology. It asks a gentle question. If time is different in other places, then what truly is now? You share a moment with someone on the other side of the world. You say, now. But your clocks tick at slightly different rates. Your places bend spacetime in slightly different ways. Your now may not be exactly theirs. And yet it feels shared. This is the mystery. That time, slippery and relative, still allows connection, still permits meaning. Einstein did not destroy time. He made it deeper, more alive. He showed that your experience of time is real, but not absolute. And so, you become a traveler not just through years and memories, but through layers of curved time. You are always falling gently into the future, pulled by gravity, carried by Earth's spin, held in orbit by the rhythms of your body and the silence of the sky. Now close your eyes and picture it. The satellites spinning above, the Earth curving spacetime like a soft dent beneath your feet, the signals moving from sky to phone, corrected for time's stretch, the ticking adjusted to match your heartbeat, and your heart beating its slow rhythm, never quite in sync with any machine. You are not a machine. You are a rhythm, yes, but also a feeling. Time, for you, is not just seconds. It is longing. It is memory. It is a sunrise that seems to pause. It is the hush after laughter, the breath between words. You stretch time without equations. You feel it. And even if clocks tell one story, you live another. And perhaps that's the truest relativity of all. Not speed or gravity, but love, waiting, attention. These things bend time more deeply than satellites ever could. And as you drift into thought, you begin to wonder, if time bends in physics, is it bend inside your mind? You wake up, and the morning is new. The sun has risen, never fallen. You remember yesterday. You do not remember tomorrow. This is time as you know it. A one-way street. A river that flows forward. A line that cannot curve back. But physics, whispering beneath the surface of your everyday life, says something more strange. Time, it says, may not be so simple. Let's sit with that idea a while. In your life, time is an arrow. It flies from birth to breath to beyond. You grow older. You do not grow younger. You eat a meal. It digests. It cannot return to the plate. This directionality feels natural. You call it the past, the present, the future. The past holds memory. The future holds possibility. And you always live in between. But in the language of physics, in the deep rules that govern atoms and particles, time doesn't always point. Sometimes it disappears. Sometimes it loops. Imagine a universe made only of equations. In those equations, time can be reversed. A ball thrown upward and falling down can be rewound, and the math still holds. At the quantum level, many of the laws are symmetrical. Forward or backward, the rules remain the same. So why then do you never see a broken egg reassemble? Why does coffee cool but never warm again on its own? Why does the arrow fly forward? Always? The answer, perhaps, lies in entropy. A quiet word, but one with weight. Entropy measures disorder. And disorder, by its nature, increases. A glass shatters. A house decays. A memory fades. The universe, over time, moves from the ordered to the chaotic. And this gives time its direction. This, many scientists believe, is why time feels like an arrow. But here's the strange part. The fundamental laws don't demand this. They do not prefer order or disorder. They simply allow both. It is initial conditions, the setup of our universe, that set the arrow. The Big Bang was a moment of low entropy, a cosmic seed of order. And ever since, the universe has been unspooling into complexity, into stars and cells, and you, a walking, breathing paradox, creating order within yourself. Even as the world around you leans toward chaos, you live within this forward flow. But physics suggests it's not the only way time could behave. There are theories shimmering at the edge of what's known that suggest time could loop, that the universe could be cyclical, expanding, collapsing, expanding again. A breath in, a breath out. A great cosmic inhale and exhale. In such a universe, you are part of a circle, not a line. Imagine this. Time is a spiral staircase, not a hallway. You walk, but you return, slightly higher, slightly changed. The future leads to the past, and the past births the future again. This isn't science fiction. It is an honest question within cosmology. Some models of the universe, such as the conformal cyclic cosmology, propose that time doesn't end. It repeats. Even some interpretations of quantum mechanics entertain the idea that time can move both ways, that cause and effect are not so cleanly separated. And yet, in your everyday world, the arrow rules. You remember brushing your teeth this morning. You do not remember brushing them tomorrow. You grow into your days, not backward into childhood. This is how your brain is built. Your neurons encode memory, not prophecy. You tell your story in one direction, past to future, chapter by chapter. But sometimes, don't you feel the loop? In dreams that replay places long gone, in routines that circle back season after season, in anniversaries, in déjà vu. Your life is linear, but it's filled with cycles. The ticking of your body's clocks, the rise and set of the sun, the spiral of growing older, but repeating patterns. Even your cells follow rhythms. Your heart beats in waves. Your breath returns. Your thoughts loop. So maybe both are true. Time is an arrow and a loop, a paradox you carry in your chest. One part of you walks forward. One part circles quietly, endlessly, within. And isn't that beautiful? Even the Earth does both. It travels in orbits around the sun again and again. But each orbit is new. A return, yes, but never quite the same. You too are like this. You revisit emotions. You return to places. You meet familiar joys and sorrows. But you are never quite who you were. The arrow brings change. The loop brings rhythm. Together. They shape your sense of time. And in the silence between them, you live, a creature of memory and motion. Now, as you breathe softly, consider what it means to hold both shapes in your mind, a line that begins and ends, a circle that never does, and somewhere between them, you, feeling time not as an equation, but as life. One heartbeat, one loop, one forward motion. And as you rest in this moment, you may begin to wonder if time is this flexible, this strange, and beautiful. Then what is it doing when you're not awake to see it? You live your days by the ticking of clocks. You measure life in sunrises, in seasons, in moments past. But all these rhythms, all this flow, depend on change. Time, at its core, is the unfolding of difference. A shift from then to now. From what was to what is. From what is to what will be. So what happens when change runs out? Let's drift together toward the farthest horizon, where time itself begins to fade. In the beginning, time surged forward like a great tide. The Big Bang bloomed, and with it came heat, light, motion. Everything brimming with potential. Stars ignited. Galaxies spun. Planets formed. Life emerged, including you. And always time moved with energy, with motion, with cause and consequence. But energy spreads. Motion slows. Heat cools. This is the slow hush of entropy. The universe is quiet, leaning towards stillness. Entropy isn't chaos. It's the soft unraveling of order, the gentle evening of temperature, the dissolving of difference. And when everything has evened out, when stars are cold, when matter decays, when there is nothing new to change or observe, what remains for time to measure? This idea is called the heat death of the universe. It sounds violent, but it's not. It's a silence. A long, lingering quiet where nothing stirs. No clocks tick. No hearts beat. No particles remember motion. Time doesn't stop with a bang. It just becomes irrelevant. Without change, time becomes invisible. It exists, perhaps, but has no story left to tell. You might picture it like this: a grand library full of books, but all the pages are blank. Stillness fills the shelves. No new chapter will ever be written. This is the cosmic still point. A time beyond time. And yet, reaching it would take trillions upon trillions of years. Even black holes must slowly evaporate, a process that takes unimaginable epochs. So you, small and alive in your tiny window of time, have no reason to fear this ending. It is too far to touch you, but you can wonder at it. Imagine it gently. A universe dim and spread wide, its stars long faded, its atoms at rest. The last flicker of motion gone. And still, something remains. A space that holds no story. A silence that once carried all sound. A clock forever unwound. Some physicists believe time never truly ends. They suggest that even in stillness, quantum fluctuations could stir something new, a spark in the quiet, a wrinkle in the void. Perhaps someday, a new Big Bang, a rebirth of difference. And time begins again. From stillness, story. From silence, song. In that view, time is not a line with an end, but a breath. Exhale and inhale. Birth, death, rebirth. Others believe time may be only our perception, a trick played by our brains to make sense of motion. Perhaps once life is gone, time is no longer needed. The story simply closes, and there's a peace in that too, because even time needs rest. You, too, know the feeling. The slowing of thought, the dimming of sensation, the quiet that comes just before sleep. In that quiet, time softens. It loosens its grip, and you drift, unworried about what comes next. Maybe the universe, too, is drifting toward that dream. Final sleep, not a tragedy. Just the natural end of a long, complex journey. Even the greatest stories come to a close. And in that closing, they become complete. Time itself may be a story. Not a thing, but a telling. Not a line, but a tale. And one day, when the last word is spoken, the book will shut. Not with sorrow, but with reverence. You are part of that story. A sentence within a paragraph. A moment inside a chapter. And that moment, your moment, is now. So as you breathe, as you rest, as you let go of the clocks and calendars and ticking thoughts, feel the gift of existing inside time's arc. The universe may someday grow quiet, but tonight it sings softly to you. A lullaby of change, a poem of motion. And if time does end, truly end, it will do so having held galaxies and gravity, stars and starlings, oceans and octopuses, and you, a creature that asked, "What is time?" And love the asking. Now, in this calm of thought, you may begin to wonder, if time has a beginning and an end. What lies outside it? You are never still. Even in silence, even in sleep, even in thought, you are moving. Not just your body, though your chest rises and falls like the tides. Not just the earth, though it spins gently beneath you. You are moving through time, always drifting toward what comes next. And yet, it doesn't feel like motion, does it? The future doesn't tug at your skin like wind. It doesn't rush past you like trees from a car window. Still, it is coming. Or perhaps more accurately, you are becoming the future, step by step, breath by breath. You do not leap into it. You grow into it, like a plant bending toward unseen light. And the path forward is not fixed. It bends and branches, shaped by memory, intention, and hope. The future is not a place you enter. It is a pattern you participate in, a song you are still learning to sing. Even as you lie still, perhaps with eyes closing, your cells are shifting. Your neurons are firing. Your mind is sculpting moments into meaning. You are not frozen. You are unfolding. This unfolding happens gently, invisibly, just as light stretches across the morning sky. So slowly you almost miss it. You imagine the future as a distant thing, a far-off shore across the water. But in truth, it starts in the smallest choices. The blink of an eye, the letting go of a thought, the whisper of a new idea. You are the vine, place where possibility becomes real. And the future is not one thing. It is many, fluid and uncertain. Your brain doesn't predict it like a weather report. It simulates it. Like a painter holding many brushes at once, your mind imagines dozens of tomorrows, then lets your actions slowly choose which brushstrokes stay. This ability to simulate futures, to picture and prepare, is one of the great gifts of your mind. It allows you to feel the future before it arrives. You sense what it might hold. Try it on like a coat in a quiet dressing room, deciding how it fits your hopes. This imagining is not guessing. It is building tiny architectures of thought, bridges you will one day walk across. And as you imagine, your brain blends the possible and the personal. You project yourself into tomorrow's light, carrying forward your identity, your desires, your sense of who you are becoming. In this way, the future is always colored by the self. It is not a neutral space. It is tinted with the glow of your memories, shaped by the shadows of your past. So when you look ahead, you do so through a prism, the prism of your present. Sometimes that prism fogs. Uncertainty thickens like mist, and the future feels not bright, but blurry. That's okay. Not all roads must be visible. Some are felt, not seen. Even the stars you wish upon shine from the past. But your wishes, they always face forward. And the truth is, the future is not something you must chase. It's something you invite, with attention, with kindness, with rest. The world often teaches urgency, but becoming doesn't demand speed. It asks only presence. You are not late. You are not behind. You are arriving in each breath. Your future self is not a stranger. It is simply a quieter version of you, a you that has learned something new, let go of something old, and made peace with something in between. And even now, you are shaping that self. Not in grand gestures, but in soft decisions. In the tone of your thoughts. And how you speak to yourself when no one hears. This too is how you travel. You become the future, not with force, but with grace. The cells in your body will be new again, almost all of them within a decade. You are always becoming new, physically, emotionally, mentally. And still, you remain yourself. Not in sameness, but in continuity, like a river always flowing, never the same, yet still called by name. And so, as the night deepens and your mind floats, remember, you are not stuck in a moment. You are not paused, that you are in motion, a soft, invisible blooming toward what has not yet been. Let that bring comfort. Let it remind you the pain is not permanent. That confusion fades. That joy can return. That you are never only what you were. Even now, especially now, you are becoming. Becoming someone wiser, someone slower, someone softer, maybe. And the future will meet you there. Not as a finish line, not as a destination, but as the next note in the song. You need not have it all figured out. You need only to keep listening, keep feeling, keep breathing. Every tomorrow begins with just one moment of rest. And maybe this is that moment. Let the horizon stretch quietly in your mind. Let your thoughts dim like lanterns. Let the world's pace slow to match your heart, because even time, as wide and mysterious as it is, waits with you. And if the past was memory and the present is awareness, then the future is promise. A promise written not in certainty, but in possibility. You don't need to know what it holds, only that you are walking toward it. Not with fear, not with haste, but with a kind of quiet trust that you are becoming everything you are meant to be.